start recording. And Amy, I'll hand it off to you.
Okay. Yeah, I tell you, I'm already getting a little tiny bit of a buzz because I actually pre-poured the alcohol for my first coffee, and I have doors and windows closed, so I'm not bothering other people, and it's a little heady in here. So it's like, whoa, I'm smelling the rum already. So while what I'd like to do is sort of go around the quote unquote room. And Carrie, you've got sort of a dialogue box that's covering up the center of the screen. Can you?
Let's see, the center of your screen. Are other people seeing that?
Okay, well, I'm going to hit continue.
Yeah, what it is you have to go down and click on live transcript and it'll disappear.
Oh, well, actually, it says this meeting is being recorded, and I am just going to hit continue. Will that
Hit
be okay?
continue. That says you're cool with recording the
Okay.
meeting.
I think, oh, maybe it showed up because I was a co-host or something. Anyhow, so I'd like to go around the room and let
No,
people
it
say.
has a live.
I'm sorry, was that Elizabeth?
Yeah, I was just saying that at least mine was doing a live transcript and I had to change it.
Oh yes, there is
to no subtitles.
Right, there is sort of a closed caption thing that is optional. That's up there for anyone who needs it, but you can turn it off. There's a little button down there. I was seeing something else. So anyhow, so I'd go around the room and people could say hi and what they've been up to lately, or what they've been doing and stuff. So I'll just be really quick myself. Again, I'm Amy Lindsay. I graduated in biology, then I went and got a PhD in neuroscience, and then I decided I didn't want to be in academic research, and I became a medical writer instead, which was a fabulous thing to do. It was really fun. It's like my ideal job, got to use my creative side and my science side, and I recently retired from that last February, and then the pandemic hit, and so and then I've become sort of a bit of a political activist, community activist more, and political activist. That's what I've been doing since then, and other sort of creative things. Okay, so that's me. Let's go around the room. Oh, Carrie is raising her hand. Let's start with Carrie.
Partly because I have another Zoom thing at 4 to jump off to. So, hi everybody, nice to see you. I was also a biology major, got my master's at the University of Aberdeen in Scotland, and then did my PhD at UC San Diego. And the first job I had straight out of my PhD was teaching intro biology labs at Reed College. And that was also my last job. I did it for 31 years, loved it. Reedies are awesome. And I just retired in July of last year, so I got to sample mid-March to May of teaching online. Not my favorite thing, but I was glad to see my students through. And then I had lots of plans for retirement, but unfortunately now I'm the medical case manager for my partner who had fungal meningitis. You don't want it, it's terrible. And hopefully there's a light at the end of the tunnel eventually.
Fingers crossed. Thank you, Carrie. So good to see you. Wish I could hug you. Elizabeth, you have your hand up. Did you want to go next? Otherwise, I'll just move around.
No, I accidentally put it up, but I can go. So you know that the circle is different, like the order that you see is different from the order that everybody else sees. So
yes, I know.
Call on people as you wish. No, I didn't have my hand up on purpose. I'm trying to figure out how to turn it off.
Okay. Oh, is there anyone else who thinks they're going to have to leave early? So wants to be, you just wave at me if you want to go next. Otherwise, I'm going to be random. Okay, Anne.
Yeah, I do have to leave early. I'm so sorry. I have a dinner thing here. I'm in Evanston, outside of Chicago, and I'm the managing editor at Northwestern University Press. I was a literature philosophy major, graduated in 1981. I don't know a lot of people from my year. I seem to have I graduated in 3 years. So a lot of the people I started with graduated the next year.
Well, that's
But
impressive.
hello to everyone.
Oh, that's super impressive. But well, welcome and congratulations on your success. Okay, next person up in my room is Chris Lang. Hey,
Oh,
Chris.
hello. Oh, I'm so glad I can be here this evening. I am, well, I guess when I left Reed College, I went to the University of Oregon, completed my PhD in math there, 1 year at University of British Columbia as a postdoc, 7 years at Mississippi State University, followed by, I've just finished my 27th year at a campus of Indiana University, IU Southeast. I'm in Southern Indiana, very close to Louisville, Kentucky.
Oh, it's beautiful down there.
So I'm professor of math, and we're too small to have chairs of departments. I'm coordinator or co-coordinator of mathematics.
Cool.
So, mhm.
Oh, cool. Here you go. Oh, never mind. Okay. Great. Thank you, Chris. Susan, Landy, you're up next in my array.
Hi, I'm Susan Landy. I got a BA in creative writing. I got an MA from the University of Washington in creative writing, and I'm currently unemployed.
Okay. By choice or you well, that's not a good question. Well, maybe
Sure, it is a good question. I don't suppose by choice, but I've had a lot of time to write, so I'm not complaining.
Yeah, it gives you a lot of time to write. Good. Well, I guess I always like to ask because this is a good place to make connections, and people might say, "Hey, I know of a position or whatever." So great to see you. Thank you for joining us, Susan. Next person up in my array is Lisa Steinman. Steinman Charnock. Would you like to say hi?
Yeah, hi, I had to unmute. Sorry, it took a minute. Yeah, I graduated in interdisciplinary economics and biology and ended up doing a master's degree in ag economics at UC Davis and went into government work for a while and then consulting for governments, for a while. Not an academic career at all. My last, on a very windy career path, my last stop was as the real estate director for the University of California, Santa Cruz, and that's where I'm calling in from here. And when I finished that job and retired, I decided to go get an MA for the other side of my brain. So now I have an MFA in creative writing and poetry, and I'm actively poetizing.
That's wonderful. I love that. I love that. Okay. Next person up in my array is Steve. Good to see you, Steve. I don't think I've ever run into you at a reunions before, so I had no idea what you've been up to.
Thanks, Amy. Nice to see you all. So I graduated in psychology in 1981, and I was sure that I never wanted to do school again. I went and did some covering up of oil spills and things like that, a little carrying lumber, and got pretty bored. And so I did, in fact, end up going back to graduate school. And I do cognitive psychology, mostly study memory. And I've been at the University of Victoria here in Victoria, British Columbia, Canada for almost 30 years and still loving it.
Wow, awesome. I have benefited greatly from cognitive psychology and Elizabeth is in that field as well. Very cool. Okay, Dwayne, you're up next on my screen.
I graduated in political science, and after a year off, ended up in grad school at Berkeley, where I got my PhD. I taught for 5 years at Boston College, or 4 years at Boston College. And then my wife and I managed to get a shared or joint position at Knox College in Galesburg, Illinois. So I'm back to what I was doing before, hanging around in a political science department of a small liberal arts college, but this time as the chair. Wrote a book on the Christian right in the Republican Party, and I'm also getting my students out studying our small industrial city, one of those prototypical places that switched to Trump. So I've been here 26 years. That's what I'm up to.
Very interesting. Thank you. Good to see you. Mark Van Ruin, I apologize, I'm not pronouncing your name correctly.
Sure, yeah, it's Van Royen.
Royen.
So when I graduated, I went to work for a criminal defense lawyer as a legal assistant and investigator for a few years. Then I went to grad school in philosophy, which was also my undergrad major, and dropped out of that, went back to doing the lawyer thing for a while, went back to grad school, finished up, and I'm a professor at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln.
A professor in philosophy or law?
Yeah, philosophy.
In philosophy. Huh, cool. Very cool. Hi, Mark. Okay, Michael, you're up next in my array. Michael Dreyfus.
Hi, I graduated in biology and then had a 20-year career in computer software, most of it at Microsoft, working on products that most of you have probably used, along with millions of other people. Since I left software, doing various things, my wife is a avid gardener, and we have built 2 large estate gardens in 2 different places. We've restored old houses in the Seattle and Tacoma area. Presently, we're running a wool business where we dye wool and yarn and spin hand spun yarn for crafters and sell it online. We've been doing that for about 11 years and seem to be reasonably successful at it. I live in Edgewood, Washington, which is about 30 miles south of Seattle and 9 miles east of Tacoma.
Oh, very cool. Actually, you might want to put the name of your wool company in the chat somewhere. I've recently taken up knitting again.
Okay, I will do
check
that.
it out. Next person up in my array is Melinda Hunt. Jake, say hi.
Hi, everyone. Well, everyone has such interesting lives. It's kind of amazing. I'm really impressed. I graduated in art, and I was in the joint program with the Pacific Northwest College of Art. And I went on to get an MFA at Yale, and then I went to teach at the University of Texas. And then I moved to New York City and taught at SUNY Purchase. And then I kind of went into public art and started a project called the Heart Island Project, which is now a nonprofit. Through a series of creative projects, we managed to end penal control of the largest municipal cemetery in New York City, where New York City actually used its prison system to disappear people. And so I'm very involved in the politics of New York City, and also I have a degree in digital imaging, so I'm very involved also in software, use creative software tools, developing creative software tools. So I'm a practicing artist. I've been a practicing artist all my life.
That's awesome. I love it when people can make a living doing art. It's so cool. Good to see you, Melinda. Elizabeth, you're up next in my array. You want to say hi?
Hello all. So Dwayne and I were dormies our freshman year in Sisson. So that's kind of fun. And I'm a clinical neuropsychologist and somewhat doing a little bit more therapy with COVID because I can do it without actually being in the same room with people. And I have Nico, who is making drinks here apparently.
Yeah, I just finished the full cast. And here you go.
He's making drinks. So, and I was shaking the cream. That's why I looked like I developed Parkinson's. But I feel for Carrie because I'm also, I mean, I'm a caregiver in that my dad, who's sitting over here, is 95. And so that's part of the array you see behind me. I live in my childhood home with all the things my parents collected over decades and decades of travel. So that's what I'm doing. And right now I have class of 82, and I graduated in psychology and then did the odd thing of actually continuing in what I graduated in. But when Amy says she appreciates cognitive psych, I think you mean cognitive behavioral, which is probably pretty different from what Steve does in terms of doing memory stuff. So I'm more in the clinical realm, and although my master's was from the University of Chicago and my PhD is from the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, so I'm from the scientist practitioner approach, but which is why I use cognitive behavioral therapy, because it's effective and we can prove it.
All right, I'm going to skip over to Tim, because I know Tim's in Dresden and it's very late there, or very early, depending upon your point of view.
Yeah, for me, very late, actually. So cool, I get to be the first person to say it. I dropped out after 2 years. And spent 7 years basically working in oil fields and on fishing boats, and eventually landed in Denver. Finally got a degree just before I turned 30 in math from University of Colorado at Denver, and have been developing software for money ever since, and playing just a ton of music on the side. And for the last 20 years, I've been living in Dresden, Germany, and yeah, doing kind of cloud backend stuff. Mike would know what I'm talking about, probably most people not. For money, and yeah, playing 30 or 35 gigs a year with various local bands, ranging from jazz to funk to rock and roll to.
Is that your stand-up bass in the background there that we can see?
Yeah, my electric should be right next to it too. I don't know what my picture is about that big. Anyway, so yeah, it's coming up on 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm not going to stay for drinks. Monday's coming around.
Okay, but very cool that you joined us. I'm so glad that you did. And what's funny is that your voice sounds exactly as I remember it from that freshman dorm. Is that your voice hasn't changed at all. I don't know if other people's has, but yours is just like, as soon as you spoke, it's like, oh,
a lot of cigarettes and doobs have gone by since then, believe me.
Okay, and then another dormie, Rebecca. You go by Rebecca or Becky these days?
I go by Rebecca at work. My family calls me Becky, so I'll answer probably. Graduated in history, and I now have been the historian at Sandia National Labs in Albuquerque for 25 years. So,
nice gig.
Nice gig. Very nice gig. Good benefits, all that stuff that you don't worry about when you're majoring in something. But now I can appreciate. Yeah, it's a nuclear weapons lab, so there's lots of interesting things to discuss. I'm in the of science and technology, so it's in
very cool. Very cool. All right, good to see you, Becky. I wish we were meeting live, because the last reunions when we met live, Becky and Marjorie put up this huge jigsaw puzzle in the common room where we were staying on campus, and it was such a cool place. Everybody just sort of met on and off the whole time. It was just a spontaneous conversation. So we'll do that again next time. I'm going to zip back to John Powers and Marion Mulkey.
Yeah, you get a twofer here. I have been a simple country economist since graduating in economics in '81. All that time as an energy nerd, one way or another. So about half the time as a consultant, half the time as a software entrepreneur. I also make software and sell it for money, and am locked well in the 0 billions of users category, Mike. So yeah, so we've been living here in Lafayette, California the last 20 years. I got a degree in economics from UC Berkeley as well. And yeah, that's about it.
I'm Marion Mulkey, and I've spent most of my career in health policy. Did master's degrees in public health and public policy at Berkeley. Worked a little bit in the health insurance industry, and then mostly for a foundation that does coverage and access issues here in California. Now I consult independently to nonprofits and government clients.
And we have 3 kids, none of whom went to Reed. What can you do?
Okay, Brian Martin.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Martin. I graduated in chemistry in 81, well, like everyone else here. And I disappointed my professors by not going to grad school. I took a job as a software engineer at Tektronix right after Reed. And then a year later, enrolled in grad school anyway, did a computer science degree. And then after that, I kind of switched gears and went to medical school in Hawaii. And my first job out of med school was as a director of prevention and control research at the University of Hawaii Cancer Research Center. And so when I was in that job, the School of Public Health decided I needed to know more about epidemiology in order to do my job right. So they made me enroll in a postdoc. So I'm also trained in public health as an epidemiologist.
Nice.
And then after that, I did more private industry work. So I was the lead medical informaticist for WebMD, and later on took on the position of director of medical informatics for GE Healthcare. And I ended up at a place called the MITRE Corporation about a year ago. MITRE is yeah, it's an interesting company. If you look them up on the web, you'll find that most of our work is with the, the intelligence and national security and DoD. I'm actually in the smaller part of the country that does just healthcare work. So I'm splitting my responsibilities between being I'm the clinical lead for COVID-19 projects and research.
Nice.
And I'm running I'm responsible for a new project with the Indian Health Service. We're going to replace all the medical record systems in the country that they support. And so that'll be a project that will, if Congress approves it, will probably be budgeted in the mid-billion-dollar range of, $4 to $5 billion. It's a pretty big project. So it's keeping me busy.
Wow.
Wow.
I'm impressed. I'm impressed with everybody. This is very cool. Next up on my screen is Jane. Hi, Jane. Wish I could
Howdy,
give you
Jane.
Unmuted. There I am. Hi, I'm coming to you from Manhattan, where I moved after getting my theater and dance degree at Reed. Did that for a few years and then pursued the healing arts and got another bachelor's and then a master's in Chinese medicine. So I've been practicing acupuncture and herbology for a long time, 25 years here. And my son is now a working actor. So I get to direct him in auditions, but he's done a feature film. He was in a play at the Public Theater 2 years ago, did another play there. So I'm very proud of him. The COVID year has been particularly arduous for our family. I lost my husband, I lost my mother. So I'm looking forward to a new year and things opening up. And yeah, that's about it.
Less loss.
Yeah.
Less loss. Yes, indeed.
So sorry for your losses, Jane. What film was your son in?
Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close with Tom Hanks and Sandra Bullock. It was a 9/11 film.
Ah.
And,
wow.
Yeah, it was about 9/11, and it came from a novel. And then he did a play. He was born in Guatemala. We brought him home when he was about 17 months. And he did a play at the Public Theater called Mojada, which was a contemporary Latin American take on the Medea story in terms of immigration. It was quite powerful. And he had a lead role in that. And then he just during the COVID time, they did radio plays out of the Public Theater. So he just finished a Romeo and Juliet with Lupita Nyong'o playing Juliet. And he was Paris's page in Act 5.
Wow, how cool. That's so cool. Let's see, the next person up on my screen, it just says press 0 for your name. I don't know who that is.
Hi there, Clay Press,
Ah,
1981. So, hi, Jane from Manhattan. I got a sister who lives there too in costume design. She's lived there for decades. And hi, Tim Cross. I work in, I've done a lot of cloud development currently too. And hello, Dwayne in Knox College. I live not far from you up in Chicago. So I'll describe my first. Overall, I've worked 40 years within a couple blocks of the Sears Tower, downtown Chicago. My first job, I stood in the same room with about 5,000 other people in the room on a trading floor 40 years ago. And that type of work doesn't exist anymore. And all those 5,000 people have moved on to other things. I actually work across the street from there right now. And since then I've worked on 5 different global banks. My wife says the next one I win a free toaster. And I did get an MBA in business from the University of Chicago. And my son just graduated from there. And my father did, so that makes 3 generations. And that's really just about it.
well, thank you. That's very cool. Next person, I was answering a question from the chat. Someone asked me about the Mike Levin sign in the back. That's my congressman from we're from the Fighting 49th here in Southern California. And I worked on the campaign, worked on his campaign and the various campaigns that helped to defeat Darrell Issa. So that's just to answer the question that showed up in the chat, seeing as I couldn't figure out how to respond to the person in the chat. Oh, I think she may have checked off already. Okay, so moving on. Mark, you're the next person up in my my array.
Yes, Mark Mitchell. I see my last name is not on the screen, and I was also an economics major. Wrote a senior thesis on the economics of symphony orchestras, and then ended up working in an art museum for the last 36 years, LACMA, Los Angeles County Museum of Art, in financial administration, budgets, investments, insurance, that sort of stuff.
Cool. All right, good to see you. And Nancy, I was skipping over Lauren because she's going to have the floor in a minute. Nancy, good to see you. Would you like to say hi?
Good to see you too. I'm Nancy Hinman. I am in beautiful Missoula, Montana. I've been a faculty member here at the University of Montana for 33 years. I did have a chance to work for about 15 months for the National Park Service as the geothermal geologist in Yellowstone.
Nice.
That was fun, but the National Park Service and I don't get along very well. So I came back to the University of Montana, and I've been studying, I'm in the geosciences department, and I've been studying hot springs and extreme environments since the early 90s. Consider myself very lucky to have field areas in Yellowstone, which is how I got the job, but in other places around the world as well. And I'm glad to be here. Say hi to everybody for me.
Yeah, it's very cool. And we can hear, I could hear the birdies in the background. So you must have a lot of wildlife right around you there.
You know, the robins are so loud this year. Get it. You know, they start at 5:30 in the morning, and that's not really cool.
Oh, well, I guess it's more charming for us than for you to have to wake up to that. But it's very cool. It was very cool to hear it coming over the speaker. Next person, Chris Line, or did I call on you earlier?
You've already called me.
I thought so. Okay. What's happening is my array is reshuffling itself periodically as people come and go. Arter, do you want to say hi to everybody?
Sure. It's lovely to see a bunch of faces that I have not seen in a very long time. Some of you I've caught up with at reunions over the last few years. It's nice to be within striking distance of campus. Yeah, after I graduated, I was forced to go back to the East Coast due to an illness in the family. And right after I got there, I was hunting for jobs in New York City and went into a headhunter's office, and they looked at my resume and said, "Oh, if you come in a suit tomorrow, we can get you a job at Citibank that starts at 70 or 80 a year." I said, "I don't want a bank job. I want a research job." So I ended up going into biomedical engineering research at one of the Rutgers state medical schools for about 6 years, working on resorbable, implantable materials for orthopedics repairs, carbon fibers and ceramics and artificial spine discs and all kinds of fun stuff. Got to develop some interesting histological techniques when you're trying to do samples and take pictures of things like stainless steel and carbon fiber and ceramics and bone and soft tissue. But after 6 years, where I was willing to work for lousy money because they promised me publication credit, they did what was anathema to anybody from Reed, a paper that I'd gotten the funding for, done the research for, written the paper for, and was sole author and the only person who touched any of it. I was informed that some surgeon who was up for a promotion needed another publication for his CV. And two guys who'd never read the paper were going to be the names on the paper going to a national biomaterials meeting. And I had a very simple answer. I said, fuck you guys. And I pointed out, you do know that your salary is less than what I make doing part-time computer consulting in New York right now, right? And my boss, who was a friend and felt very bad about telling me all of this, said, yeah. I said, well, here's my hourly rate. If you want to know anything about any of the devices I've built for you, any experiments that are in progress, any of the papers I'm working on, that's my rate. Give me a call. And the next 15 years was spent as a full-time freelance computer consultant in Manhattan and the Bay Area. Concurrently with that job, about after being out of Reed for less than a year, the research job wasn't enough intellectual stimulation. So in 82, I walked into a graduate program at NYU in atmospheric and planetary physics that was doing a lot of the groundbreaking work in global warming. And as much as I enjoyed the department and the program, I left in 90 because as much as I enjoyed living in Manhattan, I missed mountains and deserts, and had been visiting the Bay Area a lot, found an apartment I fell in love with, and walked away from the PhD, which I still occasionally regret because no one's done my topic yet still, and I'm still thinking about it. But yeah, once I moved to the Bay Area in 90, I put in another 10 years as a freelancer and then got sucked into a startup and ended up as head of IT for, over the years, 3 different biotechs, and later ended up being a consultant for Genentech for a long time. Most of the biotechs I worked on anti-cancer meds. I did work for one weird one, which was the pet cloning company, where they were attempting to start a business cloning pets for rich people. It was an incredibly ill-conceived business model, which I had nothing to do with. I was hired in secret in stealth mode and was not told what they were doing. But the last half dozen years, my primary focus has been IT security work. Ageism in the Bay Area had gotten out of hand, where 35-year-old programmers were whining about being over the hill. And in your 50s, that made it very tough. And a friend up in Eugene convinced me to come work for the big firm he was at. Moved to Eugene, enjoyed it. That firm shut down its Oregon branch in 2 years. And I lucked into a 100% remote IT security gig with the best consulting firm in my particular field. So, and in spite of me turning down, putting on a suit, and going to work for Citibank in 1982, who is my primary client, who I've worked for the last 3 years, Citigroup.
Very funny. Well,
Full circle.
Thank you very much. And now I'm going to end with, was there anybody that I missed? Because things are shuffling. Unless Nico would like to say hi.
Yeah, I'm class of 82 and he is class of
17. And I actually spent my first 6 months out of Reed working at Huber's.
Excellent.
Walked in just before commencement and asked if I could start, that Thursday. And I said, I have family coming into town for commencement, so you're going to have to wait a week. And that should have been the first red flag. Was kind of the first red flag, but it was still worth it to, get my foot in the door in an industry that I didn't do anything related to at or before Reed. And my fiance, who keeps wandering in and out of the shot, is Emily Allen, class of 19, whose father Keith is not in attendance.
Keith Allen, class of 83. Okay, because some of you probably know Keith Allen, I'd like to apologize for anything he did in your presence and say that I got most of my personality from him. So I can't say that anything he did is not representative of my beliefs and values. And I have to say, Arger, when you said it was nice to see everybody's face, I was thinking I was seeing more of your face than I ever remember seeing at Reed because you have that huge beard.
Yeah, it's nice to keep it trimmed down for the mask. They fit better when they're trimmed down.
I prefer to just not go out.
And Nico, aren't you in graduate school in mathematics?
Yeah, I think I'll be wrapping up with a master's from Penn State in the next semester or so because state college is miserable. And I spent 6 months in state college and then a year and a half in
COVID stink
quarantine era state college. And if you thought there wasn't much to do in central Pennsylvania before COVID, I got a story for you.
I got to briefly interrupt here and say good night. It's 1:15 where I am. It's almost Monday morning. It was fun, you guys. Great to see you all. Catch you next time.
Take care, Tim.
Yeah,
Say hi, David.
Likewise,
it was great.
Well, Tim, you made quite a splash in those 2 years at Reed. I definitely remember you.
That's what I was hoping not to hear. All right, good night.
Good night.
Okay, I'm gonna now pass over to Lauren, and then I'm gonna leave the room for just a second because I need to get my cream, and I shook it up a little bit before, but I need to get my cream and my coffee so I can come back and participate with things. So Lauren, wait, where are you in my, oh, there you are. She's, my whole screen reshuffled.
Oh, yeah.
And also what you might want to do, people, is you can, let's see, Carrie, you might want to walk, I can't remember how you do this. There's a way where you can set it up so that only the person who's, instead of seeing the array of everybody, you can set it up to where the person who's talking is the one that shows big screen. So while Lauren's doing her demonstration, you might want to do that.
If I can jump in, if you don't know how to do that, if you mouse to the upper right-hand corner of Lauren, there's 3 white dots on a blue background. And then if you right click that, or I'm sorry, left click it, then you can choose pin, and boom, that makes her the star of the show, which she always was.
You can do, you
Or
can go to
speaker
view
view.
and select speaker instead of gallery view.
All right, well, you guys, hi. It's really fun to see you all and hear your stories. I'm not coming up as a speaker. I obviously have set something funny, and I'm going to mess with it because I do want to be able to see what I'm doing in case so I can see what you're seeing. When Carrie asked me for help here, does anybody know how I do that? Why? I have it on full screen and I have it on speaker, but I'm not seeing myself. Does anyone know why?
If you go gallery and then speaker again, or you can go to gallery view and pin yourself. You'll be one of the earlier windows because you spoke recently.
Go to gallery.
So if you see yourself there, to pin yourself, the mouse over window and then the blue dots and then pin.
Okay, so I just see that, but I have other people on the side, but that's okay. Could I go to?
You can go to full screen.
You can also minimize the window that has the other people's spaces if you, or move it sort of
All right,
off
well,
of.
I'm just gonna live with that. So, you know, Conrad Alt and I used to play some music together back at Reed, and I learned a lot about American folk music from him, and I think he sort of roped me into helping with this. And then I told Carrie, oh, I don't really like asking for money and doing all that stuff. I don't know how much I can help, but I'll try. And then here I am doing this thing with you all. So I managed to graduate with Reed and got a degree in music, and went on to really have a career in education, and worked in several independent schools, and then founded an independent school. I went back to New England, but then ended up back in Oregon. So I'm here now in Tillamook County. The windows look white, but I'm going to show you just in case you're missing Oregon. And oh yes, good, it's green. And it just poured cats and dogs here 5 minutes ago. So if you had forgotten how much it rains here, I assure you it still rains that much. So then I started an independent school out in the Forest Grove, Oregon area, and it was a really fun venture because it was based on some Rudolf Steiner Waldorf principles, but I was interested in incorporating what we were learning about learning and brain research, and needless to say, the Waldorf community didn't really like departing from Rudolf Steiner for research-based techniques, but it was really a lovely venture of mine, and children did great, and the school is still in existence. And then I went on to a career as a folk musician. I play mostly American roots music and have studied with a lot of elders and done a lot of person-to-person social learning as well as scholarship, and really like the kind of music that many of us Americans keep alive by hanging out together and spending time, barbecues, parties, picnics, and some people make Spanish coffees over here, some people gossip over there, some people do puzzles over here, some people are by the barbecue, some musicians are going on, and I've tried to place myself in those kind of environments and really learn stylistically and repertoire from in the Southeast, in the Northeast, blues music up and down the Chicago, New Orleans channel. The music in the Northwest tends to be quite a melting pot. There are so many of us, so many different places, and but I have managed to find some of the older folks in Portland, some of the early jug band players, and see what was going on in Portland when the departure from pop music started happening in the scene. So that's what I do. And one of my friends says that one of my superpowers is social gatherings, leading social gatherings and greasing the skids. So we're just going to make Spanish coffees together. And since I'm in charge now, we get to all unmute ourselves. And the idea is that we're just going to hang out for a while now. I know some people want to share old stories and reminisce, and it will be really nice to make these drinks and drink together and let a casual, organic flow of stories all happen. And that all sound good?
Sure.
So you can all unmute now. And
Yeah, we're unmuted.
Cool.
Mutiny.
unmutiny.
Unmuted. Yes.
We'll demuten. Okay, so hopefully you shook the cream. Nico, are you a Spanish coffee maker at Huber's?
I have seen it done probably more than anyone else here, unless there were some very dedicated patrons. But I'm just saying, 6 months there, I have a feeling that I spent more time there than anyone else here while around Reed years. Now, in the intervening decades, I will make no claims.
Okay.
And I've done the Huber's technique. What I will say about that technique is that it is designed for very dark rooms with very easily cleaned floors. Yeah, cut your lime and use the lime, run it around the outside of your glass.
I'm going to go ahead and take over then. Since you haven't made them before, I'm going to go ahead and take over.
I've made
I worked at Huber's for 2 years, so I'm not sure your claim about having been there more than
You've got seniority.
Gonna work. Yeah, that was my part-time job to get through Reed, and I also was kind of surprised when this idea came up at how many of us on the committee had Huber's stories. So while we're doing this drinking, I'm kind of curious to see if everyone would make a best guess about how many Spanish coffees they themselves may have drunk over the years at Huber's. And it would be fun to see a collective tally near the end. So I know
Not enough.
I know this isn't going to be very scientific, but it might be fun and interesting. Okay, so you have your cream, and I overshook mine, but you want your cream to be pourable.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And I have not experimented because I thought it would be a lot more entertaining if, accidents happened. I know Amy experimented and she's going to have it together, but all right. So
well, all I experimented with, because I'd never lit anything on fire before. And also my lemon tree died, my great lemon tree died. And so I just had some frozen lemon juice. So I just dipped my thing in lemon juice and then dipped it in sugar. So hopefully that'll be okay.
Right?
Made a very heavy sugar rim. So
very heavy sugar rim.
But yeah, I'd never set a drink on fire before, so I just wanted to know if that would work. And it did. I couldn't see it though. I just knew it was on fire because it could set other things on fire.
I think I've made them in mugs a lot, and I have aluminum bowls in this house and in our vacation house, and I've given each of my children aluminum bowls when they've moved into their first apartments. And you can make these en masse for a party in an aluminum bowl and just like dump the bottle of rum in and light it on fire and have this magnificent bowl of blue flame, and pour the Kahlua. You have the assembly line ready, so somebody's adding the coffee and the whipped cream. And okay, the one thing that's not on our utensil list. Oh, I don't need it. If you're making it in a bowl, you need a metal spatula. A metal ladle, so that you can take out the flaming liqueur and pour flaming liqueur into your cup. It's really magnificent. It's my best party trick.
Oh my God, I'm going to do that. I was thinking that this would be a cool thing to do for like summer solstice or something. And yeah.
Pain in the butt if you're trying to make individual glasses at a party, but if you want to just make the bowl.
And I've got a metal bowl.
Story later. Okay. Is anybody who's making drinks? I can't see everybody, so I'm just going to go back to gallery and see how many people are making drinks. Yeah, is anybody else making drinks? A few people are making drinks.
Yes.
Wow, but most of you aren't.
So we won't.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't do.
I just like to party.
I guess the other people are there just to make fun of those of us.
Okay, I'm actually gonna,
In the kitchen.
my recollection.
Designated virtual driver.
That's good. So on my last day of working at Huber's, I asked Jimmy, which is what we called him long ago, but he does not like to be called Jimmy anymore. I asked James Louis to show me how to make Spanish coffees because back then it was a male only affair, and I think it probably still is. Has anybody been in there recently? And
I
seen a woman?
worked there in 17. It still is.
Still a male thing, and they wear tuxedos because I have my tuxedo shirt on, and I have a jacket. I'm trying to honor Mr. Louis, and
Nice.
you know his.
Nice.
They're down to the
grandmother
sleeves and
was still
suspenders.
alive. Sorry.
They're down to the sleeves and suspenders with like a little armband
Oh,
now. No full top.
Yeah, he still wore a satin sash, and okay, I just added the rum, so I'm gonna get everything ready. I did a taste test today. Since I usually make these party drinks, I don't buy high-end liquor usually, but I forgot about the Kahlua, and I was in a little store, so I didn't have options, so I bought the big Kahlua that was on sale, and I just did a taste test. I think Kahlua actually tastes better than this other, so I'm going to do it. Okay, now my recollection is that the proportions at Huber's are actually different from the recipe, and there's equal parts of rum, and there's a lot more rum than coffee liqueur in those Huber's drinks. So it's Sunday, and I have put 1.5 ounces of rum in, not 3/4 of an ounce.
All right. So I would say
I think we have
a
we have fire.
Oh, there you go. That's
You guys can see the fire, right?
Mine's on fire.
Oh,
We
great.
have
On fire.
ignition.
So
Right.
you should be able to see your
I don't know if anybody can
and
see
sugar
mine.
caramelizing a little bit, and that's the whole point, is to get the citrus and sugar caramelizing. And while it's doing that, I'm going to pour in my Kahlua shot, about the same amount, but not too much more. Okay, so oh yeah, I love how when you swirl it, you know, the dragon breathes. Whoosh.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, you remember at Huber's, they're just making these ridiculous
Yeah.
encores. Being charming, you
Oh,
know.
I'm so excited. This is so much fun.
You should be
Okay,
able to
so
pour the
it's a
food in and keep it burning.
Still going. Good.
Thank you.
okay. Oh, don't go out. Well, oh, it's still blue. It's still going.
That's it.
All right, and now coffee.
Going? Yep, it should still be going.
Yeah, it's still going.
Still going. You can actually
Well
see the
done.
flame there now.
So then I don't have triple sec, I have orange liqueur. If you tilt your glass and put it in,
Wow.
you ought to be able to get it in and keep it going. Yes.
That's
baby.
going to be super caramelized, man.
You're really doing a really good job. You can get the coffee in and keep it going. Yes.
Yeah. You got to put it out with whipped cream. Yeah.
Oh, it's a dream one, and then get that cream, and then the cream should put it out.
Yeah. Woohoo!
So you put the triple sec in.
This is
after-
like 1.5.
Yeah, but she says. Yeah.
All right, I'll stop.
What was the triple sec?
So Lauren, you put the triple sec in after the Kahlua to get it to flame more.
I just put it in to keep, well, if you put it in while it's flaming, it stays hot. And one of the magic things about these drinks is that the liquor is all really hot.
Yeah.
Right? So even if you're making an Irish coffee and you put your Jamesons in the microwave or something, or on the wood stove to get it hot, it's a kind of a nice drink if the alcohol's hot. So I put the triple sec in to make sure it was hot. But I think that's what I recall them doing
yeah.
too, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And as you say, with the really long pour,
Yeah.
And just as you did, putting it out with the whipped cream is so cool.
So that's why mine went out, is because I put the triple sec in with the rum and flamed
Oh,
that. Then I put the Kahlua in, and that was okay. Then it still was going with the Kahlua in there, but then by the time I put the coffee in, it couldn't stay going. So, but if I waited and put the triple sec in like right after the Kahlua, then it would keep it. Oh,
I don't think that was probably the reason, Amy. I think that you have to swirl it a little bit so that there's some oxygen that continues to get in there. And I think that you could have.
Great this time. Look at that flame.
and also just the amount of, you might not have had as much rum.
Right.
Could that be? I don't know.
Yeah, she might not have had as much rum.
It's a circulation thing.
Okay, these guys are doing
clean
John,
floor
Mary,
comes in.
And I'm gonna put some nutmeg in.
Nice,
Put a
nice.
little nutmeg on mine. Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
John and Marion are having a great time.
Oh, yeah.
We learned about the clean floor problem. The first one we didn't solve,
congratulations.
this one we did.
How's
We
it
got that
taste?
as crystallizing.
Oh, it's excellent. I'm gonna make a second one because my husband, when I went out there to get the coffee, my husband said, "And where's my
It's
drink?"
good, yeah.
That's really good. It's just like a Huber Spanish coffee, actually.
Oh my gosh, this is really
I'm a
good.
little curious, what coffee do you use? Is just like drip coffee?
I'm not a huge coffee drinker, so I use what my husband made, and he really likes. He's given all the coffees around his preferences that Starbucks dark Italian roast, just drip coffee.
Well, Hubert
But
uses
the dark, I would think a dark roast, right?
Makes sense, yeah, yeah.
Okay, Nico, anything that you would add or change, or are there
Well,
variations these days?
for home use, instead of using a restaurant or diner, coffee pot, a French press is, I think, the best option, because pour over, you're not going to get sort of as dark or as heavily extracted unless you sort of deliberately do it wrong. But it's just about perfect for French press. The ingredient selection at Huber's actually changed because the rum that they originally used was discontinued. So they once used Bacardi 151.
Right.
Bacardi stopped selling that. So they have since switched over to Cruzan. I would not recommend following their lead. I would recommend getting an overproof rum other than that one. And they almost did, because in 2017, they were in talks with, I think it's East Side Distilling, the company that made Aviation Gin before Ryan Reynolds bought the brand. They even did some trial runs of Huber's Code overproof rum, and I slipped into the tasting somehow. And the
This one's better.
draft one actually tasted like something, and not like industrial solvent rocket fuel that is really bitter. So I would not use the same ingredients as they do. The triple sec, I'm pretty sure they're using this one, because but it's only really there to add a tiny bit of oranginess, and I fully endorse your choice to use the orange liqueur you had on hand instead of spending, I don't know, $8 on a bottle of not very good triple sec that will last you 100 drinks. And Kahlua, I think there are a lot of other more interesting coffee liqueurs on the market. Huber's happens to be the largest buyer of Kahlua in the state of Oregon. I don't know how many years they've held that title, but the week that they get that order, you can see an entire hallway gets taken over by the cases and cases and cases of Kahlua. They go through a lot of it because it's very, very popular. That said, the rest of their menu is sort of also still in the 70s. And so trying to eat there as a vegetarian, not, easy or great. Ordering, any other cocktail off the menu, you'd get a better drink at a better price walking a block in any direction. And so, it's a beautiful space. It's got a lot of history, but at least by the time I was there, James, who I think is still okay being called Jim sometimes, but not Jimmy, and his brother seemed to be sort of treating it as working retirement. And there were some staffing issues. Like they did not have a manager for 3 months. Those 3 months included Thanksgiving, which is by far their biggest day of the year.
Yikes.
So somehow I ended up managing the reservation, which was they weren't ready for the extra 100 people.
Yikes.
Schedule optimization could fit in.
Well,
You guys, I've got to go. Thank you so much. So that was really fun and nice to see you, especially Amy and Lauren. Be well.
Thank you, Steve. He already jumped off. I was going to tell him that I follow Mark Hamill on Instagram, just because of course I do. I'm a nerd. And Steve looks just like the most recent picture of Mark Hamill. Well, I'm greatly enjoying my beverage. I don't know if I'm using the premium alcohol. I thought, I didn't know that Bacardi 151 had been discontinued until I tried to get some and was told that it didn't exist anymore. So this is what I ended up with, and it seems to be okay.
What do you
I'm
have?
not a connoisseur. I'm not a connoisseur, and I didn't realize until I was standing in Bevmo that there are many, many different brands of triple sec. And I just looked at and went, I don't know which one to get. So anyhow, but I'm very happy with my beverage. Did everyone else enjoy theirs as well?
Yeah, we went 2 out of 3. We had to get rid of the first one, but the next 2 came out great.
I think we didn't combust everything we were supposed to in the first one.
Yeah, the first one was it's always good to have a trial run.
Same here. I don't think mine ever combusted enough. I'm not using 151. That's probably the issue. Although I've been able to, if I'm using regular brandies for cooking, they have no problem lighting, but maybe it's the surface area. Needs to be in a big wide pan instead of in a narrower, I don't know.
Well, you need it to start at higher temperature too. You can't just light it.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. It's like there are certain sort of like cherries Jubilee or bananas Foster. I think bananas Foster's is also flamed. So other types of flamed things. And I don't think they use an overproof alcohol for that. But then again, they have that big surface area.
No, now that we're talking, I bet I'm correct in remembering that Huber's uses a lot more 151 than this recipe calls for. And I bet the reason why is so that they can make a show out of the flame.
Yeah.
And so that by the time the alcohol burns out, you kind of have the right amount of alcohol in there and you're not skimping on the rum alcohol because most of it burnt off.
No, they very carefully monitor the pours, not glass by glass, but at the end of the night they check the bottle levels, and they do fit to 1 ounce of overproof rum, but it's 151.
It's at least an ounce because when you look at it in the glass and you see how much is in there, it is not the height of 3/4 or 1 ounce. It's usually like you're going, holy shit, there's that much 151 in that glass.
I use a smaller glass. Is the
maybe
at the base.
We're talking about different generations here. Back in the day. I mean, they used to juggle those damn glasses while they
did.
There was one person who was really good at it. There was somebody else who was pretty good at it, and then everybody else was less good at it as time went on.
What's the most anyone has seen them make at one time? I've seen them make 3 in one hand at one time.
Oh. No.
You've seen 4? Oh my God. That's awesome. And did they mostly stay on fire?
Not only mostly, the people who've been doing it for 15 plus years will, I think most of them almost never lose a flame. On the other hand, getting the match to light with one hand, that's actually the hard part.
Okay, let's all do that while we're sitting here.
Getting their matchbooks are not very good, as matchbooks though. And that's the real trick, is having the manual dexterity to light the match sort of by opening the matchbook, breaking it out, and then lighting it. When the matchbooks themselves are just the cheapest they can get. So they're tricky. You have to reverse it, and then you kind of fold it over and pull, and all while maintaining a patter with the guests, so that they don't notice.
Charming, you're totally balanced. You look like you're a dancer,
Well, and they bring out a tray that has all of the necessary components, and set that up, and then they grab their glasses and grab the match, and once they've poured the rum into each glass. Now I will say that the pouring trick is, I wouldn't say not difficult, but it's pretty reasonably achievable.
Yeah.
The thing that most people don't have in their house is a pour spout. So it's almost impossible from a standard bottle. But if you have a pour spout, they're designed to give a steady, even stream. And so they're all doing it from timing. They count, 1, 2, 3, 4, and that 4 count is 1 ounce almost on the dot.
Remember, sometimes they'll pour, and then they'll look away and just look right into your eyes, and they'll finish the conversation. It's like so impressive when they don't even have to look at the long pour. Woo! And the thing is friggin' flaming. Oh my God, I can't do it. But if you guys need your Lauren Sheehan matches, you want to practice.
Hey, Lauren, it looks like there's a dog that wants to come into your house. The back door.
Oh, there is.
So on my rum, it has this weird perforated top. So why on earth would the bottle come like that?
So sorry, I missed your show and tell. What bottle is that?
Okay, this is the bottle of my 151 rum. Look at that. It's got like a sieve.
So what is it? What mark is it? What brand? Oh, Don Q. Okay. So I haven't had that specific bottle, but Ray and Nephew, which is 114 proof. Or maybe I'm thinking, no, Smith and Cross is 114. It has something similar. It's to prevent sort of excessive vapor loss. So, at such high proofs, you are losing more of your alcohol to air. And so by reducing the circulation when the bottle is open, it makes it safer to ship as well. If you can imagine, like one poorly sealed, it's illegal to ship anything over 140 proof by air because it's hazmat. It is too flammable. And so, 151 can only in the US be legally shipped by ground or boat, I guess.
Well, I can definitely verify that, because I guess I'm a little compulsive. I pre-poured my rum in my little jigger here so I could just pop it in there. And so it was sitting there in this increasingly warm, closed space for like an hour before we actually
and
made
you walked in and it was like, hello.
I was getting a little bit, as I was sitting here, I was like, I'm getting more and more relaxed as we're talking. And it's like,
I'm having the same reaction that I had going to Huber's every time, which is I'm ready to go to sleep.
Because here's a flyweight.
You better make another one. Amy,
I mean, and I even said, make it with real coffee, or there's no way I'll make it through, you know,
Well,
an hour.
the problem in that reasoning is that she would not drink, she drank maybe a third of it. And that's not enough caffeine to make up for drinking almost a third of a drink.
So Lauren, are there, I definitely want to make the like flaming cauldron version of this. For
Oh yeah.
This party. I mean,
You want me to go get my bowl and show you?
Yes, please.
Okay.
So if there's any,
I mean, having been somebody who, I make a flaming baba a room periodically, because that was my mother's traditional New Year's Eve cake.
There's actually a couple of traditional drinks that are similar to this. One of them is blazing something. It's poured a stream of flaming liquor from tin to tin. The other one that's more similar to the bowl preparation is Café Brûlot, which is a very, very long-standing tradition in New Orleans. And that, the way that you show off the flames is by ladling out the spirit back into the same bowl and using it to caramelize an orange with cloves in it.
Ooh.
So I'm going to look up this recipe because.
So yeah, so if we're ladling out, because yeah, so I want to know, I need to know all the details. So like if I'm going to be ladling out flaming liquor into people's cups, if I ask people to, they have to be heat-proof cups.
Okay, here's the deal. Here's how you do it.
Okay.
You get a team. You get a team of people, and let's say you have 20 people at your party. You have one of those big coffee makers, and you put really good coffee in it, and you make a pot of coffee ahead of time. And you whip your cream ahead of time. And you think 20 people,
up to 1 ounce each.
Usually, if I'm having a party and bothering to make these things, everybody's kind of already crazy and I always wait till sun goes down. Right. Even though it's my annoyance to my son, he has learned now the wisdom of his mother's ways, but you wait till after sundown, of course, so that the fire is magical, right?
Right.
No, I'm not gonna light anything on fire. It's only 8:45. Forget it. Come see me at 10:30, son. So you make your coffee, you have the whipped cream, and you assemble all your mugs. You need a shitload of mugs. Or, I mean, you could use glasses if you have them, but I don't really have glasses. I need mugs. I have mugs because I sponsor a lot of parties where musicians and non-musicians come and everybody camps out and mostly takes care of themselves so that we can play lots of music and just hang out together. So we need lots of coffee mugs in the morning. So that's what I have. And liquor.
By the way, these things are very expensive at like Walmart and Target.
Sorry,
go back. I just wanted to go back to Lauren, sorry.
The mugs are assembled, they're there. If I were really obsessive, by the time it's 10 o'clock at night and I've been hanging around with musicians all day, I am not together enough to ever do this. But if I hadn't been doing all that and I were really just trying to take care of my guests, I might have hot water in each of the mugs so the mugs were hot, right? That would be cool. And check the hot water, okay. I'm gonna do it for you guys.
By the way, mugs are safer. I've had at least 3 or 4 glasses at Huber's break in my mouth.
Wow.
While gnawing the caramelized sugar off the edge.
Okay, look how beautiful the potato
raises the question: how many Spanish coffees has Arger had?
Okay, how many have we have all together? I'll keep tabs. If everybody just says their number, I'll add it up. I can't do math, but I can do arithmetic.
I have no idea how many I had.
I can keep tabs.
Okay.
But I know that when I hadn't been to Huber's in 8 years and came and visited from New York in the late 80s, I walked up to the maitre d' station to leave my name because I was meeting a couple of friends there. And James looked up before I even said anything and said, "So nice to see you, Mr. Patras. It's been a while." So I was enough of a regular that after 8 years, he knew who I was.
Plus, you have a lovely voice. If anyone's an audio-oriented brain, they would recognize that.
Yeah.
And a weird name.
Yeah.
We'd recognize your voice anywhere. By the way, could you tilt your camera down just a little bit? Because we're getting a better view of the trees in your yard than we are of you.
In lovely Camas, Washington.
There you are. Hi.
That's what I get.
Okay, did you all see the patina on this? Look at this, how beautiful
yes.
it is over
Very
the
nice.
years. You know,
So you've done this flaming cauldron a lot then.
I have used this flaming cauldron. Like I said, it's my best party trick. And it's kind of interesting, but our culture doesn't tend to spend a lot of time hanging around, spending time together. And when human beings do that, interesting, natural, organic things happen, and culture evolves in a very natural way that doesn't have anything to do with cultural appropriation or nasty things like that. It has to do with human love and exchange and joy. And so I like to be a hostess in such a way that people understand that they're going to be responsible for meeting a lot of their basic needs, but I can provide a place and an overall context and an overarching kind of schedule or format so that people can come together and stuff can happen. Stories can be swapped, gossip.
Fabulous.
It has been a fascinating life, and I know that I only have 2 children and it's a small drop in the bucket, but those children bring friends around now and they participate and they're starting to do the same kind of thing. And it seems to me like a tremendous old world way of humanity, exchanging, flourishing, developing. I mean, it's not a high-paying job. It's not very technical.
No.
But aluminum bowls are cheap, so it works out. Okay, so here we go. You dump some rum in your bowl. Amy, you dump a bottle in if you're making it for a lot of people.
Okay.
A whole bottle. And then, after you have your Laurentian matches and you've practiced for months, you can light it with one hand, but I have to use 2. Okay, so then, I can believe I'm doing this for you guys. Okay, so we have rum. I'm going to swirl it around a little like you might do in your cup.
Yeah,
it's on fire.
That was something I missed.
Yeah, it should be all over the sides. Yeah.
Okay.
Did Conrad pay your insurance?
It's hot really fast. I forgot.
Oh my gosh, look at that.
I forgot the, okay.
Gloves.
You throw in some Kahlua. Woo! You throw in some triple sec. Woohoo! It's burning and I don't have my ladle and I don't have my pot holders. Oh my God.
Welder's gloves.
It's fun times at my house. And then you go.
So did Conrad pay your insurance?
Okay, so now you've got a whole bottle of rum and a whole bottle of coffee. You dumped a quarter bottle. Don't dump a lot of triple sec in there.
No.
And then you go, shit, okay, help me blow it out, help me blow it out. And your party guests go, oh, okay. And you go 1, 2, 3. And then if you have Robin O'Malley, he goes, shit. What? And he goes, oh my God, my teeth came out. And his teeth were in the freaking, his false teeth. He blew his false teeth into the drink. He was great. Okay, he was one of the holy modal rounders, Robin. Okay, that's not right. If you have a bowl of this stuff, it's really hot now. You have to let it burn longer because you have a lot more rum and you have a lot more Kahlua, so you're trying to get it all hot. So you have to let it, then you use your metal ladle. You put 1 ladle full in, that's a lot of liquor, right? And then you hand it to the person in the line. They use the coffee dispenser and they put hot coffee in there. And if they're good, it's still burning. Like, oh shit. Let's do it again.
I have to say, Lauren, I may have to borrow this trick sometime.
Oh, it's
Yeah, the
I
false
want
teeth
to
are.
come to your party.
Yeah. Well, the false teeth are definitely sterilized.
I feel like you need to do this
120
wearing,
degree,
back on fire.
I would need to be wearing a
proof.
witch's hat.
Okay, it's back on
No,
fire.
I spend a lot of time around fire.
This is the party trick. It's burning. Can you
Yeah.
see it?
Yes. Because burning.
Burning liquor. It's
My-
so
Lauren, my annual volunteer gig is being one of the safety people, fire safety people for Burning Man. So.
Oh my God.
Okay, so that's how you really do it. You try to start ladling quickly when it's burning, and you gauge that one ladle of friggin' burning liquor is a lot of liquor in the drink, and then you can put more or less coffee depending on how you want to work that. You know, the person pours coffee, they pass it on. The person puts whipped cream. Somebody sprinkles nutmeg, and everybody goes, "Oh, I want one! I want one! I want one!"
Because they just saw fire, which, by the way, is exactly how it works in the bar. You know, Spanish coffee is even better prompting additional orders than keto is.
So what's missing in this situation is there's no caramelized citrus.
Yeah.
And that's how it is. So, but by 10 o'clock at night at a party when there's fire drinks, no one cares.
Yeah. Now obviously that metal thing. Now you say that's aluminum. I think mine is. Well, it might be aluminum.
Or stainless steel.
Yeah. And I take it gets pretty darn hot. So I should make sure that whatever it's sitting on is not going to be is going to be fireproof. So it needs to be sitting on something that, really good, like, a ceramic, some sort of good thing, because
I do it on my picnic table. Probably if I were in the middle of fire country, people would say, "Are you friggin' crazy?" So I just do it on my picnic table outside. I don't worry.
John or Marion just asked the real question. Whether Reed or Lewis and Clark generated more business for hubris.
Oh, I think
that's the real
that question.
Hard-hitting journalism here.
What do you think?
Amy?
Yes?
Amy?
Yes,
I bought sake so we can try these.
Oh, yeah.
So these are Amy Lindsay originals, and I have a whole little set of
And
sake cups.
Match beautifully.
Yes.
So you used them for sake.
We just bought the sake yesterday.
Yeah, any day now, but maybe not today because she's already hit her limit.
Oh my God.
But that's my artistic endeavor thing when I can find a studio and find the ability to do that is I love ceramics. I love to do ceramics. I have some
we are being invited to migrate in part because I think the alumni college wrap up. No, that's not it.
Hi there. Hello.
Well,
let's act like Reedies and say, "Fuck that. We're not leaving. We're staying right here."
the link, then
Some of us are drinking here. I'm not going back to class.
It's just, we're not sure what's going on, but it won't let us start the other one. But if you want to hop over, that's my personal account. So it should work just fine for you. You can just click on it and it'll launch Zoom for you right away. I'm so sorry about the interruption.
So it's ID 492, 532, etc.
3340. There's a link in the chat. So if you just click on the link in the chat, it'll load it just fine.
So you want us to do that right now?
Once you've done that, you say, launch Zoom meetings or whatever your computer requires, and then you say leave and join, and then you leave and join.
I don't know. I'll hop over there then.
I'll see you there.
Sorry about it, everyone. Thank you for your patience.